Good morning and welcome to Radio Friends on Friday, October the 23rd. We're going to talk about something that is really very important today, and it kind of tugs at your heartstring, and that is hunger. Hunger. Do you know where your next meal is coming from? If you do, you are blessed and you are fortunate. But there are many people in our community and across our country who do not know where that next meal is going to come from, or if they're going to be able to put food on the table tomorrow or next week. And this is where Lindsay Lopez, our guest today from the Food Bank for Central and Northeast Missouri, comes in. And just saying those words, Lindsay, really it's kind of shocking, not knowing where you're going to get food to put on the table for next week or maybe tomorrow, let alone next month. How many people are dealing with situations like that in our area?
It's the reality for so many people in this community. I know what makes me motivated to get up in the morning and go to work, and certainly motivates my coworkers as well. We currently are serving more than 100,000 people every single month throughout the 32 counties that we serve.
So what you're saying is a minimum of 100,000 people in this area, a minimum of 100,000 people. If it were not for the food bank, would not be able to put a nutritious meal on the table for themselves or for their children.
That's the reality.
In my opinion, that is shameful. It's shameful that in this day and age, and in our country, that people are going without food or without enough nutrition to make it through a day or a week.
But that's why we exist. That's why food banks across the country exist, so that we can provide that food to people who need it, whether it's just one time that they need a little bit of extra help if they can't make ends meet, or if it's over a period of time where they're struggling. That's why we do this work.
And most people don't want it to be that way. Most people don't want to go stand in line or go down to the food bank and ask for assistance. They do it because they have no other choice, because they have to. And there's nothing in the world to be ashamed of, because sometimes fate just throws you a curveball beyond what you can handle alone. And it's nice to have safety nets in the area that are available.
It's so true. Any one of us could find ourselves in a situation where we might be the one who experiences that kind of need. A job loss, a medical diagnosis, a divorce, the death of a spouse. There are all of these circumstances that are outside of our control. And I like to ask people to consider too, we have our monthly budget, we have those fixed costs that if we don't pay for something, then there's a trade-off, a negative trade-off. We don't pay our mortgage or our rent. We don't pay our child care. We don't pay our transportation, our medical care costs. But what is the one thing that people can compress their monthly budget when they're thinking about spending? It's the amount that they spend on food, and food can be very expensive. So with us providing food to people who need it, it frees up their monetary resources to focus on those other needs that they have.
Okay. We talk about providing food. You need assistance. You need people to help out in any way they can with a donation. And I know during the summertime and springtime, a lot of people will bring in vegetables from their garden, but now we're into fall, and the gardens aren't producing as they did in the summertime. What's the best thing that we can do now to help out?
Right now, we are asking people to consider making a monetary contribution. We can take that $1 and turn it into $21 worth of groceries because we have such broad purchasing power with our resources. We are discouraging people from purchasing things like canned goods and bringing them to us right now. The food supply chains are still continuing to be compromised. We certainly don't want to put an added burden on grocery stores in the area.
So what you're okay? So let's clarify. You're asking people not not to buy non-perishable merchandise like canned goods or pasta. Not buy it and bring it to you. Make the donation. If you were gonna buy this food, instead of buying it yourself, give that same amount of money to the food bank, and they can buy $21 more per dollar than what we could buy ourselves.
That is certainly our preference, and we would not discourage families. I know when my kids were young, there was something wonderful about going to the store, and it was a teaching moment to pick out these items that we could then turn around and contribute to the food bank. But the reality is, if people really want to help us stretch the resources as far as possible, the dollars will help us more than the
So
food.
how are you doing that? How are you buying $21 worth of food for every dollar that comes in?
So we're part of a wonderful network of food banks across the country through Feeding America, 200 plus food banks nationwide and 6 in the state of Missouri that cover every single county. So we are working really closely with them as they form those partnerships with growers, manufacturers, and retailers.
Do you provide meat also, or is it all non-perishable items?
We absolutely do. So we're committed to what we call foods to encourage. These are nutritious items like protein, dairy, produce, whole grains. So 25% of our annual distribution is coming in the form of just fresh produce. More than 60% of our annual distribution is coming in the form of those foods to encourage. But the dollars also allow us to purchase things exactly like you say, protein, which is something that is expensive for people to purchase on their own.
Okay. So, I mean, that's it in a nutshell. If you want to help out, make a donation. And you know what? If you're fortunate enough to have enough for you and your family, if you give just a little bit of that to the food bank, it can make a big, big difference. The place to go to make that donation would be
sharefoodbringhope.org.
Okay, sharefoodbringhope.org. You can make a contribution on the web safely, or you can send them a check. And if you got a little card in the mail from the food bank this time of year asking you to make a donation, please do that, because you know that you're helping people who really do need assistance. Okay, you're helping your fellow man there. Lindsay, thank you so much for coming by. Please come back again. Okay?
Thank you so much.
If there's something you'd like to hear or see, we would love to hear from you. Drop me an email, pepperpmissouri.edu, and have yourself a nice day. And remember, wear that mask when you go out for yourself and for the other person.